Thanks for coming in, guys.
To
talk bloody.
yeah.
Look at the baby.
Have you met her yet?
Oh yeah.
There's camera
You know,
2.
She didn't really like me though, because I kind of came in really loud.
She doesn't.
She hates Troy Tinker too. Anybody who's tall.
I'm
Yeah.
big and kind of big.
And I mean, I haven't quite had her a year yet, and she's 9, so she's kind of like set in her ways, and
We are big animal people, you know.
I am too.
We used to volunteer at SPCA and all that stuff over the summers. All of our dogs are rescue dogs. It's like
That's the way to go, except it's really hard
It's
for
gonna
me
be the
to
crazy
I
one.
sob every time I'm in there.
so true.
Yeah.
Shall we?
As necessary.
Custom-hearth.com.
KDX.
I don't know if it's me or what, but I think we're gonna have to get a new intro to this this show or something.
Yeah, definitely have to get a new one.
Oh Lord, it's Curtain Call with Eric Ball. Hang tight. That was really loud. Well,
Guten
hello
Nacht.
there. Guten Tag.
Guten Nacht.
Welcome to Curtain Call. This is Eric Ball with Glenn Heath, as always. In the studio with us, it's Troy Hurd and Katie Kay and Gracie. Hey, Gracie, puppy duppy extraordinaire. And we're going to talk a little bit about a bloody Andrew Jackson.
Oh, wow,
musical
yeah,
that's
that's
coming up
right.
in September, and what you're going to want to do to get ready for that. But first things first, I want to thank you, Katie, for
Killing us.
No, for you know how like you realize, like I remember being in class last week and making an open reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and my middle schoolers looking at me and going, "What?" And I said, "No, from Ferris Bueller's Day Off," and they were like, "What? What's Ferris Bueller's Day Off?" And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And for the first time in a long time, I felt my age. And then I went to your dance call. And then, again, I was another sweet reminder
Yeah.
how old I'm getting. But no, seriously, it did me really good. We went to a dance call for the musical, The Producers, and Katie Kay's choreographing it, and put us through the ringer.
I sometimes think that choreographers do those dance calls specifically, A, to see who can do what. But a lot of what you're going to see is, okay, who can move, who can, at least give a good effort, and then there's this, like, I want to see some fail.
Well, that's
Yes. Okay, good.
that's why they put you in the pointy shoes. Make sure this is right up close to you so,
Okay.
so we can hear you. But welcome. Always a pleasure having you all. I say that in reference to your Southern heritage there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So let's talk for a second about Bloody Andrew Jackson. Being presented, Table 8 Productions and the Onyx kind of collaborating
Yep.
to bring. Now, this is a musical that, at first glance, you're either going to be like, oh my gosh, Bloody Andrew Jackson, oh my gosh, it's brilliant. Or you're going to be like, what? Bloody Andrew Jackson? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a hit or miss. People either love it and cult follow it, or people are kind of like not aware of it.
Yeah.
And what would you say attracted you to the show from the get-go? I mean, why is this happening right here now?
Well, it's one of those things where you like you said, you either love it or you don't know it. I didn't know it. I'd heard of it, and when it was in development in L.A., but I was visiting New York a couple of years ago and stumbled into. I wanted to see an afternoon show. Stumbled into rush tickets to this show called Bloody Andrew Jackson, and history was never my strong point ever. But I left wanting to know more about this crazy psycho who we voted to run our country at one point.
Yeah, and you know something? He is kind of considered like the freaking puma of the jungle that is Washington. You know, he wasn't a sit back and relax type of president. In fact, anyways, I'm just saying that because I was interested too and went back and did my history. And a lot of people have different opinions about him too.
Oh, he's very divisive. He's that's the cool thing about the show, is it's been in development since 2006. So it came up during the Bush era, and then it came up during Obama with his two different elections, and it speaks to whatever is going on in the country at the time. It's a history lesson. It's also a satire on our current state of politics.
That's good. Have you ever wondered why certain presidents got, I mean, I understand how some of them got chosen to be on our currency. I mean, like Andrew Jackson, what an interesting figurehead.
And how some non-presidents got to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what an interesting figurehead to go on the $20 bill, which some might argue
there's actually laws about it now, because I know that they were discussing, Reagan on certain things, and there has to be a certain time frame from either when they were president or when they pass to where they can be. So that Obama doesn't put his face on all the currency.
Oh, I see.
And I can't remember what it is, so I'm sure somebody will Google that at some point and not tell me what it was. But
yeah, but he was a rebel. He was not. He was not necessarily one to take rules for granted. Or well, he blew the rules away.
He did.
He didn't care about the rules. So it's kind of like it's interesting that he's on a piece of currency now.
Well, he wound up doing great things for the democratic process, but at the stake of committing the first act of genocide in our country. He willingly went out against his superiors and slaughtered Indians left and right to continue our westward expansion. So it's a very complicated. He's a very complicated man. It's a very complicated show in that regard. It doesn't have an easy answer. Which is great, though. It spurs discussion and dialogue.
Argument.
Yeah,
definitely. He's the Sweeney Todd of our presidents. He really is.
A very good description.
He really is, if you think about it. Kind of.
So what this show does, it takes Andrew Jackson and portrays him as a modern-day emo rock star. So there's your musical side.
Okay.
And do you think it's kind of playing fiddle to the whole American Idiot, kind of Spring Awakening, kind of
where does it fall in as far as the timeline of?
I think it came after both, didn't it?
It came before.
Okay.
Did it?
That's been around since 2006.
Oh.
So it's been.
So others followed suit maybe from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think it came to Broadway around the same time. Like I said, it was in development in L.A. It had a pretty popular run there, and eventually transferred to Joe's Pub, which is the Public Theater sort of cabaret stage, and they did it in concert, and that was so popular. Then they
is that off Broadway, or is that still in LA?
It's off Broadway.
Oh, okay.
So, Joe's Pub is part of the Public, so it went from Joe's Pub to the main stage of the Public.
Gotcha.
And then it went to Broadway, and it had a small run. It actually won the Tony for Best Book that year.
Okay. Do you know who wrote the book? I'm sure. You do.
Alex Timbers wrote the book. I'm a big fan of this guy. He had a theater company called Le Frère Corbusier, and he was all about taking history and repurposing it.
Nice.
For his own methods. He did a bunch of really, really cool off-Broadway kind of stuff, but really started breaking through with a very merry unauthorized children's Scientology pageant, which is the story of L. Ron Hubbard told by kids.
I want to do that.
No, I want to see that.
I used to be a huge L. Ron Hubbard fan.
I thought you were going to say, I used to be a huge Scientologist.
No. It was funny because I read all of his science fiction stuff, and then one Christmas my aunt turned around and she sent me Dianetics and Scientology, and she's like, well, I know you like reading his books. And I looked at her, thanked her, and proceeded never to open either book. But, it was one of those things. I love all of his science. I mean, he was a spaghetti western and serial writer for years, and a lot of the stuff, it was more business oriented, and then it became, whatever it is that it's become.
Well, and what's interesting about this musical, to me, is it appeals to many demographics, but more importantly, history buffs, an older adult, because there's some very adult, symbolic things in there. But it also appeals to the younger demographic because of the way it's presented, the rock and
it's
everything.
Very Schoolhouse Rock. I've described it as... Schoolhouse Rock is written by Trey Parker under a Jaeger binge while listening to Green Day. Yeah,
there's a Jaeger haze over the whole thing. Yeah. There really is. But also, I thought it kind of plays with that whole notion of, what the freak is history? You know what I mean? The whole idea of we assume what's in the history books is what's history, but who's writing the history books?
That's
The winners.
You know, the winners, right? The person who was able to sell it to us.
That's all I ever learned in
And
school.
what's funny about that is that it kind of tongue-in-cheekly speaks to that.
Yeah,
saying,
there's a character in the show who's called the Storyteller, she's this mousy middle-aged librarian type who comes out amongst all these rockers and tries to give this very textbook Encyclopedia Britannica narrative of the life of Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Jackson, the character, vehemently fights against her, and at one point tries to kill her, and as far as we know, succeeds until a nice little twist ending.
I love twists.
Where the moral comes
You can't
out.
put blood in the title twice and not have a twist ending, my friend. That's all there's to it. Well, listen, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk more with...
I want to talk to Gracie.
I want to talk to Gracie. I don't know if I speak her language, though. We'll see.
Oh, you do.
Oh, Gracie speaks.
We're talking with Troy Heard about Bloody Andrew Jackson, a Table 8 Nonix Theater collaboration. It's going to be presented this September. You're going to want to know all about it. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Hello there, this is Roger Reeves of New York's Peter and the Starcatcher, sending you back to Eric Ball here in Las
Alex
Vegas.
Timber directed Peter and the Starcatcher. He directed that and the Pee Wee Herman show, the revival.
It's sweet to
Can I tell you something about Pee Wee Herman that you're going to think I'm a freak or you're going to love me? One of the two. I think he's a genius.
Oh,
I
he'll
think
love
he's
you.
a genius.
He
I
does.
think he's a genius. His early stuff and his improv stuff, I read this whole big thing about him, and I respected him even more because he was a man who never didn't take a chance.
Oh, he took
Who never
a
did.
lot of things into his hands.
It's a double negative there, Eric.
I would agree with that.
Check out
He was always willing to play.
Who's this? Who is this?
7 days a week.
Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman,
Create a meal,
appropriately.
indulge,
Irony.
and enjoy.
He's a groundling. Did you take from the groundlings?
Second City.
Oh, okay.
So did I. Chicago. Didn't do the whole roll with him.
They didn't have a full conservatory here. I wish they did.
I saw this. I thought it was for a horror movie.
What is it?
Oh, it's for a...
Barbecue restaurant.
It's horrible.
We can turn the fan on. It was on last time and
Yeah.
didn't make that much noise. If you want to turn it on, it doesn't rotate.
I think I'm just
right.
seated right over the tower, and it's you can't handle the
I'm
sex on the
baking.
mic.
Tastefully tangy tango.
Sean said he's on his way. He texted her.
Yay.
And we can just kind of share it.
It's the lowest.
Well, officially, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And congratulations.
Were you thanking him?
Oh, thank you.
I heard through the
Yeah.
time. Congratulations. That's going to be... It's an amazing cast.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sitting here going... Amazing.
Yep.
And who is Christian Escobar number 2?
Right.
You need bookends.
Did you see his name was listed twice?
I wish.
I didn't see the list.
Oh, Joe posted it
He just posted
as
it.
I was driving in,
Yeah.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, I guess I can't.
which is
help
why
now.
we can talk about it now.
Right.
There's still what 1 or 2 more left.
Just chorus people to cast, yeah.
It's basically a Crazy for You reunion.
Thank God, because that's what I was hoping for. Tappers.
Let me tell you, those dancers are phenomenal. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah. And then we had one Jubilee girl, which is also was a Rockette, showed up from heaven. And
Oh,
I'd
the
never
real
met her,
tall,
and I was like,
the real tall blonde one.
yeah. I right away asked her if she sang at all. She was like, I'm more of a chorus singer. That's fine. I don't need
Move your lips.
Great, good.
You're like, whoo.
Who should we come in with? Heidi Blickenstale, Julia Murney. We need to get more of these.
Adolf.
Adolf.
Come in with Adolf.
I don't know if I'm ready to go Nazi yet.
Yeah,
On
once
the
you go
radio,
Nazi, you
anyways.
can never go back. Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
know.
say you sure did the other day.
I wish I'd seen your callback.
Oh boy.
He was stage ready.
Balls against the wall.
Did you have pigeons with you?
He would have.
Oh,
outshined them.
What's funny is that I have a strange obsession with pigeons. Ask my wife. No, I'm serious.
You know, Bert
Ask
does
her.
too on Sesame Street.
Yeah. We're talking pigeons.
You're gonna have to actually watch the YouTube video. I've been behind.
That's all right. It's not like you don't have a life or anything, for crying out loud. What he's talking about is we're videotaping the program like we do every week. And what you can do is you can go to YouTube and search for Curtain Call with Eric Ball, and then subscribe to our channel and watch, archive episodes of the show. And
I've got video
send it to
working
your
again.
friends.
It's been almost a month since I found out my old technology from 6-7 years ago was working great, and then all of a sudden, I guess a few weeks ago, I burnt out the power circuit because of the fact that it was just overheating while I was recording you. And so
happens?
you caused my old electronics to melt.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I have to go back to traditional. Bring my laptop in and.
I make no excuses.
lug
I
around.
do what I do. I leave it on the floor. But
As does Gracie.
Yes, she does.
yay, Katie's doggies, Gracie's sitting here in her lap, and we turned the fan on because we were dying of heat in here. But that's okay. The things are getting hot this summer because we have Music Man coming up in June. It opens here very, very soon.
This
2
week,
weeks.
doesn't it?
I thought it was next week.
Uh,
It's in June.
yeah, you know what? It's
I think it's next week. 'Cause
Yeah.
We're supposed to get our comps the
yeah.
10th.
So
Yeah.
That's all
so
I
it must open what, the 13th then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So Music Man out at Super Summer Theater is our first show of the summer. It runs for 3 weeks in June. Then we have, following that, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying from First Step Productions.
Yeah. Keith Dotson directing. Nicholas King, just back from his freshman year out at Colorado, playing J. Pierpont Finch. Michael Brown is Bigley.
Great cast. Great cast.
Amanda Kraft, Scott Gibson.
Bunch of people.
Yeah, a bunch of people.
Bunch of peoples with shoes on. Tap shoes
Brenna
on.
Folger.
It's going to be lots of fun. I don't know if they tap in that. Do they tap in that? Or do they just kind of Brotherhood of Man it all over the stage? That just sounded...
No comment.
Now, but anyways, then the third show of the season is in August, and it's Legally Blonde. PS Productions, Phil Shelburne, and that...
Cast is still coming out on that one.
Yeah,
so.
still fleshing out, and a lot of pink all over the city right now. People wearing pink. I just...
Also, Brotherhooding of Manning It.
Everything sounds okay in my head right
No,
now.
They're, oh my god.
And producers just got cast, and that's the September show.
Awesome
With
cast.
yeah, it's gonna be fantastic with Joe
Like
Hines at
half
the
the
helm.
cast in the room right now.
Yeah, very excited. It's gonna be fun. And so you need to go to supersummertheater.org or unlvtickets.com. UNLV
Get your tickets early. If you get them early, they're like $12 in advance, $20 at the gate. And if you've ever driven the 15 miles just from the 215 Red Rock down Charleston, and then you get to the gate and you find out they're sold out, and then you got to turn back around.
It's a long
you
drive.
wish you would have bought your tickets in advance.
All of a sudden, the scenery is a whole lot cloudier.
Yeah.
It's just like, no. But I'm going to tell you, this is kind of a funny story. It's not funny, it's tragic.
Oh,
but
let me turn the camera off even.
It's, we were driving away from, I think it was 1776. It's a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. 1776, and we were driving back.
More than 3 years.
It was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know what it was. It was a while ago. And we were driving we just turned out of the park onto the main 215 there. And is it not 215? The, whatever that is.
Well, there's the 215 Beltway, and then there's also Blue Diamond, depending on which way you go.
I was going north.
Is it relevant to the story?
No.
Okay.
I was driving, and I saw a big line of cars up there, and I was just like, what's this about? And we stopped, and we were like edging, bumper to bumper, edging for 15 minutes, turned into 20 minutes, turned into 30 minutes, and everybody from Super Summer Theater was just bumper to bumper and honking, and people were wondering what was going on. And then it was dark out, so we couldn't really see that there was smoke up there. And there was a car or something, like crashed off of the road into one of the ditches, and it had caught on fire. And there's this huge fire, so there's all these police cars and all these fire trucks and all these crazy things. And it was a 2-lane road, so it was kind of like they were creeping them by, and it was a big mess. And it was like, have you ever been in this situation where you're like, what is going on? What is going on? And then you get up there and you're like, what is this? This is crazy. It's a 2-lane on. Oh, that's really too bad, really.
Feel like
Then you
a
will
jerk.
drive away going,
That happened,
Yeah, it
that
shouldn't
happened
have
last
been
year.
that bad. It shouldn't have been that bad.
I don't know if it was during Joseph or Crazy for You, but I live right off of Blue Diamond, so it takes me like 5 minutes to get home from the ranch. But there was a really bad motorcycle accident one night out there.
Ugh.
So, they were turning people back the other way, and I'm like, no, I'll sit. I'll wait.
yeah, it gets dark out there. You don't want to get into an accident. There's coyotes.
Well, and you also don't want to speed through there because, the speed limit's like, 50 miles an hour, and they do have cops out there, especially when the shows start out at the
Well, and let me tell you something. It's there for a reason. I mean, everybody wants to drive fast down that road,
Yeah.
and I was probably breaking a few speed limits.
It's national, not as a national
There's
park.
animals all over
No,
that
but
road.
I mean, it's like it's government road. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like driving through Yosemite. You can't, burn rubber through Yosemite either.
you
could,
could.
but Smokey doesn't like it.
Yeah, don't do that. So, Super Summer Theater, listen, it's a tremendous season this year. And if you've never been, I'm going to highly encourage you to take the family, because it's one of those things that you can take an entire family to. It's family friendly. It is one of those experiences that you just got to see for yourself. I can build it up as much as I can, but you need to get out there. What you do is you bring like a picnic basket and a blanket and wine, your favorite wine. Anybody who has been out there knows that some people have like really elaborate picnic setups and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you sit out under the open skies with the backdrop of Red Rock Canyon right behind you. They have a really nice
It's
snack
like
shack there.
Tuacahn in a sense.
Yeah, I would say like a rustic Tuacahn.
Backwards Tuacahn.
And I say rustic with the utmost respect, because it really is.
You had like the Hang 10.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
That's my Super Summer
Mahalo,
season.
brah.
But anyways, you go out there and you about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the show starts even, and you enjoy a nice meal and you socialize with your friends. And there's always people you run into at Super Summer. And you kind of take everything in. And then when the door goes up to the stage, it's time to settle down and hunker down with the grasshoppers and see what's going to happen on stage. And then the stars come out, and it's like you don't even realize you're not in a theater anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you're kind of swallowed by the stage lights, and you get kind of focused in and centered into the action. It really draws you in and makes you part of the show. It's something that you need to experience to understand. But anybody who's been there adores it. It's a station of Las Vegas, I would argue. It is a pillar of cultural arts in Las Vegas.
29 years?
Yeah, and it's truly, truly the most unique experience for a performer on stage and an audience.
Well, and we've got, going on right now for one more weekend, Las Vegas Little Theater has its 4th annual Fringe Festival. So,
yes, indeed. And I was told we need to wait because we have Tim Burst calling it, and we also have Amy Lee and
Brendan McClanahan
joining us later.
Oh, good. We'll talk a bit more about
Fringe later. So, but we want to turn things back to the Onyx Theater.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leap beyond Super Summer.
Well, I really want to know a lot more about this production, because you had mentioned it maybe 6 to 8 months ago, and it was something that was going to happen. We weren't exactly sure when, and so now that it's going to happen, I'm sitting here going, crap, because I won't be able to audition for it. But
it was one of those things where it was going to happen, but then I decided to get married instead.
Yeah, why? I mean, jeez.
Just because it's one of those things you do. So we
like you do.
So romantic.
I was going to say something about milking and cows and free and whatnot, but
Mom, I did not give the milk away for free.
oh, she charged.
I know.
So it's just a matter of waiting for the right time. And when Brandon Burke was in the seat at the Onyx, he and I were starting to talk about different shows, and it just happened to come up, and he had the slot in September, and we figured it'd be a really cool back to school kind of show to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's a rockin' show. If you're unfamiliar with
not quite Schoolhouse Rock, but it's
you'll learn something or two. You'll learn something. But go first of all, if your access to a computer is right in front of you, just YouTube I don't know. There's some great YouTube footage, and there's some crap YouTube footage.
Well, I'm wondering, is there even a cast recording of it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the cast recording of it is actually really quite good.
Okay, because
in my opinion,
I don't happen to have that in my catalog.
A fun sort of synergy thing. The guy who played Andrew Jackson from L.A. all the way up through Broadway actually played Abraham Lincoln in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh really?
Yeah. And he's actually.
Did he ever play Booth in Assassins? Because
I'm sure it'll come.
That would be weird.
I'm sure it'll come. I forget his name off the top of my head.
In the
Meryl
movie.
Streep's new son-in-law. We want to keep it in the family.
I was going to say, Meryl Streep played Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, she could if she really wanted to.
Abraham Lincoln. I wonder what other role he's gunning for.
I'm sure he'll have Ben Franklin somewhere down the line.
George Washington.
James K. Polk.
So we have auditions coming up.
Yes,
Bloody
you do.
Bloody open auditions. Saturday, June 15th, noon o'clock at the Onyx
That's
Theater.
a week from this upcoming Saturday.
Yes, a week from this upcoming Saturday. It's on the way. Oh, his name is Benjamin Walker. Thanks, Kate.
There it
Thank
is.
you, Google.
And auditionees will need to bring a song. 32 bars of a contemporary rock song or ballad. Broadway rock is permitted, i.e. American Idiot, Spring Awakening, Passing Strange. But we just need good just rock.
Yeah, here's the thing. It would behoove you. There, for some bizarre reason, and I experienced this as a teacher an awful lot, people don't research their stuff. You need to get into this show a little bit. I gave the information for auditions to a friend of mine who would be loving this show. And I said, you need to look at this show, dude. And he goes, gosh, I've never heard of it. And I was like, you got to look at it. And about an hour later, he texted me and he goes, oh my gosh, you know me so well. And he loves it. You have to get into it. Once you get into it, if you by any way get your hands on a script, you'll see what I mean. It's a brilliant show. You'll see what he's talking about. It must be an audition reminiscent of the type of show it is. And there's a plethora of material out there for you to use, but you need to know what you're getting into.
I mean, sing Green Day, sing Blink 182. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as it rocks. And that's the great thing about this musical. It's not difficult music.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Sondheim. It's not traditional Rodgers and Hammerstein where you need an aria. If you're a really good comic actor who can just carry a tune, just come and sell it.
Awesome.
That's what I'm looking for.
Now,
more
is it comedy and drama? I mean, is it kind of a mixed bag?
it's hysterically funny, but it hits you.
It's a dark fun.
Yeah, it hits you. With
Oh
a
no,
sucker punch.
definitely dark humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we turned the lights off several times. I think. No, but it's if you, it's very dark humor in the sense of you got to go in there knowing that it's going to be silly, goofy, and tragic, and all at the same time. Because it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. It's like a fun house. You never really take a fun house or a haunted house for seriously. You don't think it's all kitsch. It's all in your face, and so they kind of.
And for anyone who had the opportunity to see Death of a Salesman at the Cockroach Theater up in Artifice, Bloody Andrew Jackson coming from the same directorial mind.
We talked a great deal about Death of a Salesman last week.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to tell you, Troy, how fantastic the show was.
And speaking of brilliant, Sean Critchfield, just entered the room, my friend. How are you? We should have like a little applause button.
We have a bell somewhere.
So Sean's joining us. Yeah, Death of a Salesman, and it's going to be. I'm going to find it interesting to see how you take a turn from, Arthur Miller to Bloody Andrew Jackson.
The funny thing is, Miller was actually the stretch for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I go back to classic lit like Miller and Shakespeare, that's Bloody rock and roll and camp that's my
Cool.
forte. So
Well,
getting to go into the dramatic realm is a break. That's the relaxation.
Yeah, and what's different, for those that don't know about the show, we kind of covered the story a little bit. What is interesting about this type of production? Because the Onyx, as everyone knows, is a rather intimate venue. It kind of throws it into your lap. I mean, I've seen shows like Rocky Horror Show there. I've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest there, and those are settings that I think are welcomed by a space like the Onyx. Is this the type of show that is going to immerse an audience?
Absolutely. From the minute you walk in, we're already working on a pre-show with a sing-along. The cast comes in one by one, and we get the audience engaged, singing along with Johnny Cash and Hank Williams Jr.
Awesome.
To get you in that sort of rebel, renegade feel before we start slipping in the rockabilly and the rock and roll. On that note, I'm also looking. I mean, if you've got a special skill like guitar playing, banjo picking, this is very much it's a concert
Washboard.
show. Bring it to the audition. Accompany yourself.
Nice.
That's never allowed in an audition.
Well,
but if you can come, just rock out with
I
the guitar.
think Eric and I may get some practice on the juice harp this summer. So.
Oh Lord! Only he's laughing at that.
Are you planning to have a juice harp in Bloody? maybe faster?
Arliss Estes is in the band, so possibly.
So that means yes, because basically you could punch holes in a stick and Arliss Estes could play it.
yes.
Yeah.
He could, couldn't he?
Really, seriously.
You give him like a ceiling
You're like,
fan
"Could you
and some
play the
tape and say,
left-handed-"
make this into an instrument.
Yeah, could you play the left-handed egg beater? And he's like, actually, it was one of my focuses in college.
Minored
Yeah.
in that.
Now, Troy, can you give a little insight as to who else may already be involved in this production?
Well, one of your co-hosts is the production designer, Eric Ball, which means he's handling triple duty with scenic and costume and some of the propage. And
Yay.
just the general overall look of the show.
Now, is this one of the Feral Theater collaborations?
Kind of yes and kind of no. It's just me, but I'm with Feral Tale Theatrical, so kind of yes and kind of no.
It's the spirit. It's definitely the spirit of Feral.
Yeah.
And if there winds up being any punches or anything thrown in,
And
thrown hat in for...
There is a huge bar fight, so Cake Buttery will be provided by Sean Critchfield.
Kick buttery.
Choreography by Christian
and
Escobar
buttery
and musical
goodness.
direction by Sandy Stein.
Beautiful.
Awesome. It's a good team. And shout out those audition dates one more time.
Audition dates are Saturday the 16th will be the vocal audition, and callbacks will be held on Sunday the 17th.
At the Onyx Theater.
At the Onyx, starting at noon, and will be the Saturday audition will be rather painless. You come in, you sing, you leave. That's it. You know, like I said, if you've got an instrument,
No
have a
painful
guitar.
dance call?
No, that'll be Sunday.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Christian's going to have some interesting tribal movement.
Blister, Andrew J.
Turn, kick, turn. 1, 2, kick, turn.
But that's, if you want more information, they do have a Facebook event page. You can also probably contact Troy directly if you have any questions.
You can find me at Troy Hurd on Facebook or Table 8 Productions on Facebook.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show. We're talking about the Onyx Theater and Table 8 Productions collaborative musical in September, Bloody Andrew Jackson. And if you have to refresh your memory as to who we're talking about, take out your wallet. Look at your $20.
I have a lot of wine.
I was going to say,
How did you know that my $20 bills are bloody?
Well, you know.
Wow, yeah,
I
that's really dark.
I can't get past George Washington.
So I have a question for you on this. With the show, I'm first of all, I'm thrilled to see it. I'm really excited to see it. But you have your shows that are iconic, and you have your shows that as you walk into the process, you're already dealing with the fact that there is a structure built around the show, and then you have to decide whether or not you're going to play within the structure or not. With this, it seems like this is still pretty freeform. Like there has not been the definitive production of Bloody Andrew Jackson.
I don't think there's been a Vegas production of it.
Oh no,
before.
it's got to be the
No,
big
but
area.
I mean a definitive at all. You know what I mean? And so, like, what are you? So I guess it's a two-part question.
Yeah.
One, when you are dealing with the show that has kind of that, there's been the definitive production, or there's the iconic structure. How do you deal with that? And with this show, how are you dealing with the fact that it isn't? Like, how are you heading into this?
Talking about definitive productions after having come off, one of the most definitive plays
Sure.
of American canon. It
Hence why I
depends.
asked.
Well, to compare and contrast, Death of a Salesman has a pretty definitive look, has a pretty definitive structure. We wanted to pay homage to that without really sticking to it. And the thing that came out of Salesman was everything was dictated by the cast. Everything was dictated by Willie Loman. When Ernie Curcio came in to audition, he auditioned for Biff. He had no idea that he was going to wind up with Willie, and that blew him away. Ernie, as a performer, he's 33. He's younger than I am, and he brings this energy and this powerhouse strength that he just has. And so everything came off of that. I wasn't going to mold him into a 60-year-old man. Play it this way. Let's do it like Hoffman. Let's do it like this, where they were old. He brought his own power to it. That dictated the production design. We made it very contemporary with the projections. It was very kinesthetic. It dictated the music. Kyle Boatwright listened to the original score. In the script, Miller wants you to use Alex North's Broadway score that was written back in the 40s. It's very languid. and it would have worked at cross purposes with Ernie's performance and Ernie's soul.
It would have slowed Ernie down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she took the idea of the themes and the music and wrote an entirely new score off of what she saw going on in the rehearsals. So that was one of those cases where everything was shaped around the cast. That's the same with Andrew Jackson. You know, everything's going to center off of who I see as Andrew Jackson, who's going to come in and be the smarmy, sexy, charismatic, bratty rock star.
Yeah.
And everything will just spring off of that. We have an idea of the production design and what it is. It's pretty freeform. It's using a lot of Eric's repurposed theater. He's already has some really cool chandeliers coming in. It's just, but overall, it's just an open environment. And when we get into the rehearsals, we're going to create that with the cast. But yeah, there's a lot of physical comedy in it. There's a lot of shtick in it.
Oh yeah.
And that's the sort of thing you discover once you get in there.
I would say that it's one of those shows that at first glance you see the onset of it and you see kind of like a hard-hitting musical, you know, rock opera of types. But it appeals to a lot of theatrical tastes when you get into it because it kind of plays ping pong back and forth with the different genres and different stylized approaches and different, you know, it clues you in here and then it sweeps the rug under your feet here and then it's a fun show. It's like a bumper car.
You know, go ahead. Sorry,
So I guess to get back to your question of how do you adhere to, you know, this format, Andrew Jackson is wide open. It's all about the spirit of anarchy. Death of a Salesman, we did pay homage. Like I said, the music, although it was completely original, took the flavor of the original music. There were a couple of some imagery that we took in. The opening image of Willie Loman with his back to the audience, picking up the two cases. I brought that in because I saw it was on the first cover of this first copy of the script I ever read. You know, it's one of those iconic images, along with Willie down on his knees, just beating the floor. But that's about it. You know, if it's dictated in the script, you know, sometimes you have to have these things because it makes sense.
Well, that's dictated by the director too. I mean, I don't know about you, but you have to love what you're doing in order to offer it its just desserts. You know what I mean? And if that's something that kind of like appeals, it doesn't even have to like build into the story. It just needs to appeal to the dynamic of what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like an image, a sound, the music, you know, the atmosphere. All those things play into the storytelling.
But if someone says, you know, I'm punching you in the face right now, you've got to have them punching them in the face. You know, that's where you adhere to the script. But the stage directions, any of that, whatever.
You know, I think it's fun because we did not get to, you know, you've been so busy and I've been so busy that we haven't gotten to do our sit down and our postmortem on each other's shows. So the fun part is I'm going to get to do it on the air. So, which is a good thing. If anyone knows me, you'll know that this is not lip service. That if you've listened to the show or talked to me personally, I'm a big fan of Troy's work. I am consistently saying that I think he's one of the top directors in Las Vegas right now.
Oh, yeah.
Mutual admiration.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But I just wanted to say that first
Stop
of all,
hugging
going
each
back
other.
to
Guys, stop kissing.
that's
Stop.
my leg. That's my leg. But
That's my hand.
Going back to Irma Vep, actually.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed Irma Vep, and I think that the biggest victory for me in seeing that show, stylistically speaking, back to that thing about paying homage to the style, and that, you know, it's a penny dreadful and things like that, was that, you know how, like when you're flipping through the channels and you're not paying attention to what channel you're on, and you hit the BBC and they're showing a recording of a play on the BBC of an English show, you know? As I'm flipping through, you know, and I hit that, I can spot it, and I can go, I know what channel I'm on, I know what I'm watching, because of stylistically what they do with, you know, pace, the lighting, everything. And I thought you nailed that. Like, there were moments that I felt like I was watching a show on the BBC. You know, the BBC. But, so that was the first thing. Stylistically, I loved that. I loved I did not expect and loved the piece of scenery rolling out to make the Egypt scene. I thought that was just, the sarcophagus. I thought that was absolutely genius. And I also thought, I'd seen a production of it done at Hope Summer Rep in Michigan with good friends performing in it, and they come up with this very complex way to make the painting bleed. And I thought what you did with the painting was brilliant because it took me a good 10 seconds to figure out that it wasn't blood. It was stylistically. Did you get to see? It was beautiful. They basically had cutouts in the eyes and they lowered ribbons with, I'm assuming, BBs inside or something at the bottom.
You don't quite have it.
But but it looked like beads at the tip of the ribbons that dropped down.
It was fishing line pulling the ribbon down.
It was
Close,
beautiful.
so close.
It was beautiful. But the way that it dropped and ran down for like half a second, it was blood, and it was just really, really well done. So that's my postmortem on that. I thought you really just very captured the style. I thought it was gorgeous and well done, and I laughed through the whole thing.
Well, that's David Sanker's set and Jenny Adams' lighting. You know, they're brilliant people over at LVLT. Their design crews are just killer. And of course Troy Tinker and Tony Blosser doing their thing. You know, they had a real. There's something about Irma Vep. That goes back to Ludlam, and Charles Ludlam wrote it, directed it, starred in it originally in the early 80s with his partner, Everett Quinton, and that was his breakthrough play. And Ludlam became the darling of New York theater, and Irma Vep was the signature, and it ran for years and years and years. And I think the thing that really worked for them is they were partners. They had a real offstage love affair, and that translated to the stage. Troy and Tony, of course, didn't, but they had a real affection for each other eventually through the rehearsals, and that translated as well. It's that chemistry. That's any cast.
It was clear.
You want that chemistry.
Half the challenge of a director is getting a cast to the stage.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
And just as a side note, we're losing Tony Blosser. I guess he's moving on. So from all of us here at Curtain Call,
Phoenix.
Good for you. Good for you,
Phoenix,
Tony.
Arizona.
we'll miss you. We'll miss you, Blossy Pants.
Yeah, go for
nice
it.
little theater community in Phoenix now.
He's
Go
been
for it,
scouting
Community.
already.
Moving forward, Death of a Salesman. I got to see, because we were right on top of each other for the show's opening. I got to see your second to final dress, and so and it was so funny because it was just this spectacular piece of breathtaking theater. It was really just hit me right in the gut, and the one thing that you said to me before it started was, I have a prop that isn't finished yet, so please overlook that. And I was like, really?
Wow.
Really? That's the least of your worries, my friend. Like that moment, the prop was going to come out, and I was going to be like, "It's ruined! It's ruined!" I just stand up, and scream, and storm out. But
That's
it's
not
very
a
fun to me.
lunchbox. It's like
It was the recorder, I think, that wasn't quite finished, and you were beating yourself up over that, which I thought was hysterical. But on that one, I wanted to say that first of all, there was not a nanosecond. Not a micro instant that I did not 150% believe Ernie Curcio in that production.
Let me tell you something. He's quite brilliant.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And
I look forward to working with him someday.
everyone was just fantastic. Even the smaller parts, like
Katie's.
Please forgive me for forgetting your name if you're listening. The young kid who winds up being a lawyer.
Ross Orbitz.
Ross.
Yeah.
Ross was great, and just the way that he came out in that one scene where it was a cross-examination with Willie, and it was so well done.
Yeah.
And Katie, I've said this to Eric. I've said this to
If you
Glenn,
listened to
and
the
I
show
said
last week.
Yeah, I said this then as well. It is remarkable that when you walked on stage, I swore there was a lighting cue. Because the stage gets brighter. It really does. Like, you just have a remarkable presence that when you walk on stage, a stage gets brighter. And it was really, really, really well cast. Like, for you to be who you were in that moment was spectacular. He used you well in the play.
Yes, I do.
And I just think that across the board, there was just so much great stuff. There was another moment where something went wrong with blocking, and in the intermission, you were like, "What happened with the football?" And I was like, that wasn't intentional? That was amazing. Because it fell off the platform, but then in the next scene, he picked it up and he used it when he ran, and he was doing this thing with Willie. And I thought I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, that's great, the way he used that to transition to, how does he know it's going to land there every night? You know what I mean? So I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I'll tell you as well, my biggest fear is I don't want this to transition into, now let's talk about Cuckoo's Nest. But when I watched it, I stepped in. I went back to rehearsals and I walked in and I was like, okay, I have this great idea that I wanted to do with the pencils and the colors and the set. And there's this thing that I wanted this introduction of color to happen as McMurphy was there. And I said to them, I saw Death of a Salesman last night, and there were some bells and whistles in that show that were absolutely purposeful. And I realized that the reason, because normally bells and whistles turn me off. I start going, okay, your hands in your pocket of tricks, you know. And they were everything you did was purposeful, and it actually made me rewrite that portion of my own concept and remove it because I realized that I was not trusting my actors to allow there to be color that happened in the set. I felt like I needed to all of a sudden introduce this color as this gimmick that was going to take place, and it was seeing how well you did the projections and the projections going askew and the things like that that made me remove that.
And,
so bravo on that as well.
some of that is trusting the audience as well to pick up where you're coming from, which is what I loved. I didn't get a chance to see Cuckoo's Nest because it was the same time that Urinetown was. But I did get to see, I think it might have been closing weekend for Death of a Salesman. And I really enjoyed how, and I don't like using the word simplistic, but it was. And you know, to follow with Sean, yeah, everything that was done had a purpose. And even the projections and the different effects did not detract from the period, which was amazing because you think when you bring in that modern technology, when you bring in those aspects of things, you're going to take away from the production. But you gave the audience the credit to not take it that far.
The projections, that was Brett Bolton and Benton Porter. They did that in the sound design, and they were just fantastic people to work with. Brett has a band called Kid Meets Cougar.
Love Kid Meets Cougar.
And if you get to see their music's great.
Yeah.
If you get to see them live, it's all projections. It's him and his partner. She plays I forget who plays what. It's drums and keyboard, but they have this whole multimedia show that they design. And
he plays drums because he's also hitting the effects pedals with the drums, and she does the keyboard and something else. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, Eric Amblad is a really big fan of theirs, and when I walked into the Cockroach, knowing that I was going to do Salesman later that year, I said, I want nothing. I don't want a set. I want to strip it down, bare bones, and just use projections because the Cockroach space is so cool in and of itself. But that was sort of our mantra all throughout rehearsals with this projection. That was Eric's big hook. We get to use projections. Of course, he was excited about that. But I said, the projections are fine, but that's just gravy. The cast has to be so freaking solid by themselves. I wanted it just bare bones. And we reached the point in the rehearsal period, like a week before dress, I looked at Ernie without makeup, without a costume, anything, just in dress street clothes, and he became a 60-year-old man right before my eyes.
I noticed how he used his glasses to give that differentiation, and I'm privileged to be able to work at the Fringe Festival with one of Ernie's scripts, but he is very purposeful as well, and it's a great word. That's a word of the evening tonight, folks. But the words that he chooses when he writes, there is a specific reason for that, and it was very interesting to watch because as soon as the glasses came out, I knew that there was a transition, and I knew that he was going to be either going back in time or coming back to present day.
Sometimes it's so subtle.
It's incredibly subtle.
Ernie came in full disclosure, Ernie came into our first table read off book, and that kind of had the bar.
That's
really
regular
high.
Practice for him. Someone did a staged reading of Hamlet, and he came in off book.
Wow.
For a staged reading of Hamlet.
I only had 5 lines. I wasn't off book, and I felt like the biggest jerk ever.
Wow. That's a massive undertaking, and it's seriously.
Yeah, it was my first time. First time meeting Ernie was at the audition. First time working with Ernie was during the show. I'll do it 1,000 times from here on out. Ernie is just a consummate professional, and like I said, having him in a cast just raises the bar for everybody.
I don't think he sleeps.
Well, now you're doing a show that's written by Ernie. at the Fringe.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be doing a production at the Fringe Festival with Cockroach. It was originally entitled The Residents. It was supposed to be 2 pieces, one of Ernie's and one of Erica Griffin's. But as it turned out, there were some casting issues, there were some personal issues, and so it's just the one piece that Ernie wrote the book, and then Erica Chan, wow.
Oh, she kill you.
Angela
She'll
Chan,
kill you.
Angela Chan and Jelana, I don't know. Oh, because Erica Griffin, jeez. Jelana Adamson and Angela Chan wrote the music and lyrics. So it's the only musical offering at the Fringe this year. It's Sudoku the musical, and first 2 days sold out.
So the numbers are good for Sudoku.
On all different accounts, it's an emotional. I've been trying to equate how to describe the show, and I can't without giving spoilers. But it's a 2-hour show and a half-hour back.
Ooh.
And I'm emotionally spent by the end of each performance. So.
And Ernie is directing Glass Menagerie this summer.
Well, and he's also acting at the Fringe in one of his own pieces. As
I don't
well.
know why, but that was on the DL because I did not even know they were doing it. It was who's it?
It's the Glass Menagerie is going to be the Onyx. I'm pretty sure it's an off-strip production because Ernie's now the theater manager there.
At off-strip? Oh wow!
Yeah, Ernie and Lysander
Getting educated.
Yeah, they're splitting duties. Ernie has a cast with Valerie Carpenter Bernstein, who played Linda Lohman in Salesman.
Who was brilliant. I kept
Stunning work.
one of the most stunning. I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I remember I'm so glad I picked a front row seat when I saw Deadly Salesman because there was one moment when he left and then he came back and he said, "No, go to bed." And she went to bed and she says, "You're coming to bed, aren't you? Please come to bed." And he's like, and then she goes upstairs and fluffs both pillows and then smells his pillow. And then puts it down. I died. I was like, it was so perfect. It was so perfect. She was brilliant. Anyways, it's the little tiny things that, man, turns it from theater to emotionally connecting to your audience. You know what I mean?
She's Amanda. Brandon McClanahan is Tom. Aaron Oding, who played Happy in Salesman, is going to be...
Oh, so Glass Menagerie is already cast.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Gentleman Caller, and Jessica Afton is Laura.
That's a brilliant cast right there.
It's a beautiful show too.
Yeah, they've been in rehearsal for... I think they were in rehearsal before Salesman closed.
Oh, okay.
It's just sort of... I think that's one of those projects that happen, and I can't speak to it. I'm not part of it.
All I'm going to say is I'm going to be there because
Well,
that's
when
a
is
brilliant show.
that going to be?
Ernie, call us, please.
Go to the Onyx Theater or Off-Strip Productions, and I'm sure you'll...
We'll get that information.
Well, I'm curious because I've heard of some other shows going up there at the Onyx, and it's like there's no room for all these shows to be going up at the same time.
They took the roof off, and now they do things in the air.
Two spaces.
And unless they're going to get rid of all the clothes out front and make a second space.
My gosh, what a brilliant idea that would be. Wait, did I just say that?
Nice.
So yeah, getting back to the task at hand. Having said all of that and getting to do that post-mortem, I just want to say that part of the reason I wanted to do that was because if hearing us gush about those productions means anything to you as far as like trusting our opinions goes, then you can rest assured that Bloody Bloody is going to be fantastic, and I just cannot. I'm so excited for that.
Well, I know you're going to have a very large turnout of auditioners because that's all that a lot of people are talking about at Fringe.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you also, it appeals to people who are of the theater persuasion, not traditional theater persuasion, that want to step outside of their box, and those that aren't traditionally theater people, that are more contemporary singers or vocalists in the city that stick to the strip or the cabaret scene. Anybody who wants, we're talking like all different steps can step into the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm looking for a very diverse cast in many, many ways. It skews a little younger age range, but everything's dependent on who shows up, and like Salesman depends on Willie. Everyone depends on who Andrew Jackson is.
So are you looking, when it comes down to it, you'll be casting, the Andrew Jackson character and then the other ones around it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, the main characters are Andrew and his wife Rachel. Then there's the storyteller. But I'm looking for a cast ready to come, have fun, be ridiculous, commit to this material fully, and get ready to rock out.
Awesome.
I'm just really excited to be doing theater in Las Vegas right now because there's so much good stuff. And Cuckoo's Nest had a fantastic run. Legally Blonde at Faith was tremendous. The cast of the producers that was announced today, I'm looking forward to every show at Super Summer out of the ranch this year.
Yeah, it's one of those seasons where it's just going to keep on giving. So become a part of it. At the very least, if you're not the type to step on stage, I mean, if you've ever thought about doing community theater, now's the time to get involved because there's so many production companies needing people to branch out.
Yeah.
And not only that, if you decide, you know what, maybe that's not for me, there's so much to watch.
And the Fringe, that's a buffet.
I
think the Fringe is going to keep
Well,
growing.
there's even the over 55
Speeding Theater.
Speeding
Sandy
Theaters there.
Rumpus.
Representations from pretty much everything.
Senior theater, the children's theater, everything in between.
Yeah.
Everything from little knee-high to a grasshopper up to the elderly. There you go. Well, we got to take a break. We'll talk a little bit more. We're going to try to get Fringy here when we come back. But in the meantime, during the commercial break, listen to these commercials because they pay our bills. But also go to YouTube and check out Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. You'll see what I mean. It's pretty stinking awesome. Hang tight. One more curtain call.
This is Matthew Scott.
Hey, baby.
Huh?
Hey, baby.
Hey, buddy.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I need to bring my monopod in so I can rotate that better. I don't know where my other.
Crushes my glasses against me sometimes.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. Yeah, Sean, I don't know if we got cast and producers.
Huh?
We got cast and producers.
I heard.
Did you heard?
Yeah, I heard it.
He heard.
I heard well. I heard some really good auditions. You blew me out of the water, son. Living with a vocal coach has been wonderful.
Not smoking for the past year has helped.
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd was a huge boost of confidence. Choking at next to normal auditions pissed me off. And then Jolana Adamson's been a big kick in my ass too.
Good.
Sean Adamson.
Will Adamson's wife. She wrote the music
wow.
and lyrics.
Really talented.
So thank you.
I want to touch you. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm very tired. Very tired.
What you been doing?
Okay.
Just I want to get this cough that's just kicking my butt for like 2 weeks, and I don't know what's going on with it. So I'm just tired all the time. But so because this is going, thank you, sir. Because this is going to YouTube, I don't want to spoil it.
You could pause it.
No, that's okay.
I can.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. But that's he and I are talking about.
Yeah.
It's so funny you said that.
Thank you, Chris Scott.
I haven't heard that in forever.
He and I talked about like the possibility of me, because it's something I wanted to do for a long time, and he was like, I love it, and then he wound up getting the script online.
You ever read it?
I want to see
It's
which one
online.
it's
They
not
have like
being
a
read.
PDF of it
What's his
online.
name? Peter what?
What's his name?
Peter O'Toole.
I was in one of his other one acts. That's how I got to know about that one.
That's not Gogol, is it?
Baby.
Okay.
She did the cutest thing ever this morning. She was eating breakfast, and she's sick Miles with the treats now.
Oh wow.
And she
I don't think
thought,
you knew that. We should have brought her
oh yeah, she's sick Miles.
Oh okay.
And
Wow.
she was sitting below him, and he couldn't see her, but she was going like this. And I was like dying. I was like, please
There's
give her
actually a
some.
PDF of it online that you can download for free and read.
Yeah.
That is,
I read the whole thing in one sitting. I was just like, wow.
it's basically.
You haven't?
It's on like put the title in PDF in Google. I swear you said.
Oh, okay.
It's I sat there and read the whole thing.
And so they just like administered their soul so that
It's pretty cool.
That's fun.
it was beautiful. And then of course they wanted to present it.
Do you have Shrek yet in PDF?
No, I have it. I have a hard copy. It's with your poster. You know what? Maybe I'll have more. Oh, I don't have Marissa tomorrow. I have a prep period tomorrow. I could do it tomorrow. I've been just needing to put it through the scanner.
Yeah.
And do it. I have a big scanner at school. I can do that too.
She might do it without a tree. Hold on, we'll see.
What does she do?
Sit.
It doesn't have anything from soon.
Okay, sit. Grace.
I definitely
Sit.
want
Sit. Say hi. Say hi. Good girl. Good girl.
Seriously?
Good girl, honey.
She's
Good girl.
the dog one.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine's doing it in San Antonio now. It's just selling
You will not get your showers in. You may get a bath.
We'll get a
get to
picture
do-
of you two together eventually. Like, good girl.
Yeah, I want you guys to
I would have brought cheese.
I'll give you
Oh.
one. Yeah.
I've got another cough drop.
Kirsten got offered.
Here's a cocktail.
Kirsten got offered a sweet job, man.
What?
This is ridiculous. It was our closing day of tour, the morning tour.
Yeah.
And one of the women that had helped bought a bunch of performances for Title I schools came to see it. We had a miserable show. The kid totally checked out. It was every once in a blue moon you get a crowd where they just don't want to hear.
They don't
history.
get it. Yeah.
End of
Totally
school
checked
year.
out, and the end of the school year, and they were just not there. So we weren't expecting anything, and of course that's the show this woman comes to see. She walked up to Kirsten afterwards, and she said, "What is your schedule?" She goes, "Well, the tour's over now, so there really isn't a schedule." She's like, "No, what is your schedule?" Kirsten's like, "Why?" Because I'm sorry, that was very strange of me. I am working with the Smith Center. Apparently, the Smith Center and Disney partnered up to take educators and take professional theater educators and put them in the Title I schools to do after school programs and things. And this woman is like, "Here's my card, call me. You'll be trained by Disney to go do
Disney.
this."
So is that different from the
That is fantastic.
Wolf? What is it called? The Wolf Pack?
I'm not sure. I'll find
That's
out.
the hangover.
There's another major grant they got for something similar. That's
That's
fantastic.
wild.
And she was like, "Here's my card. Get in touch with me. We're gonna do this." And Kirsten's like, "Yes," because
That's one of those moments
She's
where you're
just
like,
gonna-
don't lose this card.
Right.
she's getting pretty run through the ringer by Rainbow Company right now.
Is she?
Which is unfortunate because she's just been there forever. She came up with the program. She's the most qualified to be an instructor, and they hired 2 other part-timers, and they're just like, and it's just like, you know what, the best thing, if you really want to advance in Rainbow, they're really the best move you can make is leave. You need to let them realize that you're valuable, you know?
You need to get back. 30 seconds.
That's,
So do we have McClanahan and
they said they were talking about this week and next week, and I said,
Snoopy?
Yeah, we gotta get that. That's what that's on.
Always a pleasure. I'm glad you came. You're not just.
Well, we wanted to come share the celebration with you
I'm
guys.
very, very
Thank you.
glad you guys came. Thank you. And congrats.
Congrats to you.
Seeing this guy flounce around on stage.
No, you're not feeling it? Alright, you don't have to.
Maggie Wheeler. God bless you.
Princess Gracie has left the building.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were just speaking with Troy Hurd and Katie Kay and Gracie, and the majestic princess, Madame Gracie,
who's got a new trick?
who's got a new trick. And they were talking about the upcoming Table 8 and Onyx Theater production of Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson that is going to be holding auditions a week from this Saturday at the Onyx Theater. What you're going to want to do is go to Facebook. There is an event page on Facebook, Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, Onyx Theater. All the information's there. You can also find Troy Hurd, H-E-A-R-D.
He's out in the parking lot right now.
He's out in the parking lot. You can tackle him and ask him, give me details about the audition. Well, actually, find him on Facebook if you have any questions or concerns. But this is a show that you need to check out for yourself. Educate yourself on these things.
I have a copy of it. I just need to read it. I think I found a copy of it when Troy first mentioned it months back. But I just have this weird, sense of, 1776 meets American Idiot meets Assassins.
Yeah, it's very similar to all those.
Yeah, and I'm, so.
And it's going to find a great home at the Onyx. It's going to be a perfect venue for that.
Yeah.
And so that's coming up. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need to talk about Fringe over at LVLT, which is happening right now, open this weekend, and it's only running for 3 weeks, and you need 2 weeks?
Well, there's 2 weeks. So today was the end of the second
first
week,
week.
or end of the first week, and then next week picks back up, I believe, on Thursday with a few shows, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the website, lvlt.org, and that's where you can purchase tickets, for one, but also it has a rundown of the Fringe Festival and all the different shows.
And if you balance it right, you can see a lot of shows. I believe there's either 12 or 13 shows. But tickets are $12 each, yet if you buy a pack of 12, it will only cost you the price of 10. So,
really?
100. Yeah, you if you buy 12, you will effectively get 2 free. You'll get the 10 at $12 each, and then 2 free tickets. So,
that's cool.
What
a deal!
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to see any of the shows yet because I've been doing mine. But next weekend I'll be able to catch at least half the shows, which I'm looking forward to.
If you want to see Glenn in the Fringe Festival offering, it's Sudoku, the musical, and he described it as a 2-hour, 12-gallon bucket poured into a 30-minute shot glass. And
yes, is that a 2-hour show in a 30-minute box?
Yeah.
It's listed as the residents on the program because there's supposed to be offerings by the resident writers of Cockroach Theater. But unfortunately, there was some not casting issues, but a couple members of the cast of the second show had to drop out at kind of last minute, and there wasn't an opportunity to recast, so it's just Sudoku.
That's awesome,
and it's a fantastic show. It's kind of fun because it's myself and Jacqueline Holland Wright who played Mona at the Plaza for Best Little Whorehouse. So I got to work with her when I was playing the sheriff as the understudy.
So that's a reunion of sorts.
Yeah, and she's so fantastic to work with, and this whole experience has been a blessing. It's for her. She and I were talking about it, and she's just, it's reaffirming what theater is supposed to feel like. Just because everyone has been so positive and welcoming and driven to bringing a quality show. It's a short production, but there's 5 music numbers in it. So.
Know something for those of you who this is the perfect and prime time. We're always saying that we need to support original works. There's an awful lot of that going on at the Fringe Festival, and if you're not one to sit through a 2-hour-long musical, if that just doesn't appeal to you, go and check out the works here, because oftentimes even the musical offerings, they're shorter versions. It may grab you hook, line, and sinker, and maybe you'll be reformed.
Yeah, and there's our friends over at LV Taps and members of Happy Hour Improv. They've got the sequel to last year's Best of Fringe with Dick Johnson to Private Eyes. But the Happy Hour Improv Troupe is also doing an improvised play.
Well, it's called Your Life, and I don't know anything about it, but I heard grumblings, and it has to do with the structure of how they do it is the same, but every single show it's different because they
pick out a different cast member or a different audience member, interview them, and then build a play around it. But it's improv, and so it will be twisted and funny. It's essentially long form improvisation, but good group of guys putting that all together. So.
Well, Dick Johnson, I mean, they had a huge reception for the first show. This has got to be in response to that, this sequel. And
well, they won Best of Fringe last year, so
yeah, I heard Dick Johnson 2 was just as good, if not better. I also heard Moil Beside the Rock is bloody fantastic.
Written by Ernie Curcio and
his name's coming up a lot.
Performed by him and Taylor Haynes,
and TH is a bad. TH is just genius.
Yeah, the two of them on stage just must be
lightning
brilliant.
Struck.
Unfortunately, he's just he's a little seen actor in town, but in my opinion, is one of the finest actors in this circus. Just the man is. His instincts are so clean and so spot on. He's It's very rare that I see him make a choice when he's on stage that I'm not like, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I believe
you know, yeah.
And I just love the
It's
name of the
pretty
theater
remarkable.
company, Mountain Mama Thespians. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
And Moyle is not the Jewish doctor who performs circumcisions, because I had to question Ernie that when I was giving him a ride home a few weeks ago. I was like, what is it? What does this have to do with Alcatraz and farming and lighthouses? Where does the Moyle come in? He's like, no. Moyle as in the trouble, as like, oh yes, it's a word that I don't know that Ernie is.
another word.
Damn you, Ernie, and your vocabulary.
Well, like we were talking about the Fringe Festival, which has become kind of a staple of the Las Vegas theater community every summer. It's over at Las Vegas Little Theater, and what you're going to need to do is go over to lvlt.org, and you can check out the whole schedule there, along with what else is going on at Las Vegas Little Theater. There right now.
Xanadu's going to be coming up next month, and
I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that one.
well, they're going to be putting roller skates on quite a few people.
Pass out leg warmers on your way in.
But a fun cast. Michael Drake, Brian Scott, Christine Chavez, Kim Glover, Penny Paskett, Gillen Bray, Ryan Ballant, I believe.
I'm alive.
Directed by Walter Niadlik, and music by Toby McAvoy, I think.
too, and it's Las Vegas Little Theater has a tendency to surprise people with their musicals in the summer, and this is probably going to be no different.
Xanadu is a surprise.
That is definitely a surprise. So check out the website. We're going to be talking. We're going to take a quick break here to do a couple commercials. But
Again?
we're going. Yeah, we got to squeeze it in. That last half.
We trucked through.
We trucked through that. So when we come back, hopefully we'll get Tim Burris on the phone. Tim Burris is going to be he's going to be talking to us about his offering at the Fringe Festival, the Endless Productions short play of Alice in Wonderland. I think it's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
It's the first book. It's not Through the Looking Glass, but it's got the largest cast at Fringe. Over 20 performers.
Holy cow!
Some beautiful costumes, and obviously geared for the kids. A couple years ago, he won Best of Fringe for his production of Wind in the Willows.
Wind in the Willows,
which was so very well done.
Cool.
And
So
you can expect the same this time around.
Well, let's hope. He wants to talk to us about how good they are at playing croquet. But we need to take a break, and we'll be right back with more Print Talk. Hang tight. You sleepy boy, you have a hard day at work. Poor guy, I feel bad for you.
They've also got me on like steroids and Claritin D and Hydromet. So I'm just like, today was Ashley Eubanks' last day in tournament. Yesterday was Chris Warren's last day.
Wow, lots of people are training.
Yeah, man.
So they're probably having
Janae was a
rehearsals,
couple
getting
days
new people in?
before that. I think so. Janae was a couple days before that. They're dropping like flies over there now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How is the costume? Still heavy as hell?
Oh yeah.
You're like,
Oh yeah. They added this horse act that is painful.
that's what I talked to Phil yesterday. That's what he said. He goes, this new act. It's I said, yeah, it has to do with horses or something, right? He goes, yeah. I don't know how well it belongs, but regardless, it's really, really taking its toll on everyone involved. I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, I understand why we need to have it done, but everybody and their mother has been dropping their schedule to work this out. And I'm like, going, really? He sounds really torn, like, with everything.
It's the problem with it is that what they're doing with the horses is absolutely brilliant. It's amazing.
But yeah, like you were saying, uninteresting for
yeah, if you don't know
patrons.
horses, it makes no sense. It's like, and that's basically they got a really good reception for the first performance of it when it went in, and then the second show everyone was like,
Blah.
yeah. So
It's only been in for 2 shows now?
yeah. So, and they're only doing it 3 nights a week, which I don't know if they're doing it on a trial basis. They're saying that it's going to go in, they're wanting to go in 6 nights a week, but it's right now they're only doing it 3.
I love how everything's so up in the air all the time. It might, if it will. It's like, what does that mean?
At 657.
Yep.
That's
Right.
657.
Is Tim calling in?
Yep.
Custom-heart.com.
KSHP.
Custom-heart.com.
Hey, Tim, it's Eric. Hang. How's it going, dude? Hang on one second. I'm going to put you on hold, and then we'll put you through. Cool.
Yay!
Chicken fingers.
But it is a chicken finger, Lord.
Crispy, extra long crinkle cut fries, dedicated to the main fresh daily.
Oh, Sean Critchfield.
What's up, buddy?
Huh?
What's up, buddy?
Nothing. Just nothing. A lot of nothing. There we go.
Welcome back, one and all, to Curtain Call. We're talking about Las Vegas Fringe Festival, which is happening right now over at the Las Vegas Little Theater. You're going to want to, while you're listening, go over to your computer and go to lvlt.org. Scroll down. They have that whole listing of what's going on at Fringe listed right there. You can also purchase tickets. It's going to be a great time. It's one of those very, very unique opportunities in Las Vegas. It's kind of like Super Summer if you think about it. They offer a unique offering of very different titles throughout the course of the summer. This is a opportunity for you to see many, many bite-sized samplings of very, very strong performers in some unique productions in the course of 3 weeks' time. You can, if you're strategic, you can see all the shows throughout the course of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. So it's a great, great time. And on the line right now, we have Tim Burris, who is in charge of the Endless Productions offering, I should say, of Alice in Wonderland. Tim, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Tim Burris,
You got me.
ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, man, the immortal himself.
I would say the Chuck Norris of Las Vegas theater, ladies and gentlemen.
The only man I know who can pull off a kilt and look like he can still kick your you-know-what.
Yeah, and don't insult him because he can punch you through the phone.
Through the phone.
He can punch you through the kilt.
That's right.
What did you write? You wrote, Sean wrote something on his Facebook once. He said, what was it? It's like, one time Tim Burris ate an entire whale, bones and all, or something like that. It was the funniest thing.
Bones and all.
It was very funny. But I'm thrilled you're on the phone with us, Tim. Always a pleasure.
How was the production this afternoon, sir?
Oh, today was wonderful. I was in a good mood. We had lots of kids in the audience, and that does you really good listening to everybody's reactions.
Yeah. Now, when you were generating this project for the Fringe Festival, is that specifically who you had in mind? Did you have a younger demographic in mind?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Cool. And is that lacking at
ahead.
Fringe, or is that kind of like something that you just wanted to?
Well, no. To be honest with you. A couple of years back, before we did Wind in the Willows, had you asked me what my image of Fringe would be, I would have also leaned towards materials that were definitely adult audiences and some of the more obscure type works and stuff, a lot of new works and everything. Until I was actually in Scotland at the Fringe Festival out there in Edinburgh, and some of my students went and watched Wind in the Willows. Myself, I was, kind of fighting it at first because I wanted to go watch, something like A-Team, the musical or something like that.
Which is respectable. Let's talk about it.
Does that actually exist?
Ranks right up there with like Moliere.
Please tell me that exists, because otherwise...
It does. It was offered. I was torn between that and a show called, One Man, One Ring. It was a one-man Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh my gosh.
So I was looking at shows like that, and then my students, they went and watched Wind in the Willows, and then they came back, and they were like, you have to come watch this with us. And I was, eventually I just caved, and I went in. And by the time I finished that show, I felt like I was tucked into bed and ready to, just, go to sleep, and I felt so happy and good about life and the world and everything. And it kind of opened my eyes to this other aspect of Fringe that is this overall community.
Yeah.
and the children, are our future of theater goers.
Well,
and so
there's a nice aspect about being able to, as an adult, find a story that can be related to both by children and adults, but also allows the adults to find some of that magic that they may have lost as a child. Which you certainly brought out for Wind in the Willows. I saw it a few times, and I can't wait till to be able to see Alice next weekend.
Yeah. Now, what do you have to say? Because here's what I found out about Alice right away. Everything in the newspapers and everything everybody is saying, including us. I mean, we opened with this. Is that, well, it has the largest cast of every offering at Fringe. It has over 20 people. That's how you're being billed. What do you have to say? What do you have to say about that?
Acclaimed director Tim Barris and a huge cast.
And a giant net.
I mean, some people's casts are bigger than others.
Right.
I grew with it because, nobody really knows what to say. Like back when I did Willows, people were just like, "Oh, okay, neat, moving on." And there's this idea about Alice in Wonderland that it's been a like our take on that story has been kind of convoluted over the years with all the different tellings and revisionings and all of that. We kind of expect this monstrous epic, Chronicles of Narnia type of world. And how on earth do you bring that into a theater? When in all actuality, the book's quite short, and it's some simple adventures.
And you're doing only the first book. You're not doing Through the Looking Glass,
Wonderland.
Right.
No, it's I'm not doing any takes from anything else from it, or from Carol's other work.
Yeah. So the Walrus, the Carpenter, Dee and Dumb, not there.
Yeah, not there. And it's been an interesting go. Like, we haven't added anything to it, but I can't tell you that my actors don't add stuff to it when they're up there.
Awesome.
Knowing your cast, that doesn't surprise me.
Alice in Improv Land.
Speaking of, who is your cast?
Everybody with my mouth open.
Yeah.
My whole cast?
Well, give us some highlights.
Like, who's Alice?
Okay, let's see here. Alice is a local actress. She's a young girl. Her name is Jules Schoof. This is Jules' second go in the theater world, so it's
awesome.
A definite chance to take. But I wanted a younger actress. I wanted somebody who had an innocence and all of that.
Is there someone you had a chance to work with at the Meadows?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't use she came in and read for me and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I know her from other folks in the theater stuff, and also doing she had shown up at thespian conference and stuff. And she's just out of middle school.
Yeah, that's great.
And she's been doing a real bang up job of rising to the occasion, especially opposite all the other actors that she was up there with. Because Sam Craner as the White Rabbit is enough to, spin most people's heads.
And Sarah Spraker as the Red Queen is enough to scare anyone.
Yeah.
So,
well, actually, Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts, sorry.
Red Queen, yeah.
The wrong story. Wrong story, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and that, so we're up against a lot of that stuff too. Is like what people think a Wonderland is versus what it actually is. Like, a lot of people are used to hearing stories that will tell about psychedelic trips and get into transcendental or bizarre psychedelic sort of journeys dealing with drug connotations, or people get into
doing shots of Drano before the show, and Alice in Wonderland, I'm eating mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. People are expecting that.
Fringe Drano.
Or then other people take it darker ways with Carol's relationship with Alice Liddell and everything. But it's I wanted to just do a story that was a young girl going on a bizarre adventure. That's kind of just a interesting telling there.
And, well, that's awesome.
And I will note that the hookah you have was not actually used in the production. Or was it?
No, that was such a blatant question. So, are you smoking a hookah?
No. He has this wonderful hookah and these lovely tobaccos, and so I come pulling up this afternoon, and half the cast is warming up in the back with the hookah. I was like,
no, it's the hook is used by the caterpillar on stage.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's what that was there. It was actually genuinely there for the show.
Okay.
So, Tim,
And,
do you feel
what's that?
like with Endless, do you feel that this is going to be your niche for Fringe? Is this something you plan on continuing to do? Is when you participate in Fringe, trying to be the company that offers the kids show?
No, because the very first production that we offered actually was written by Shaw Critchfield and directed. That was Ptolemy Had a Silver Nose, which was about two philosophers who were imprisoned for having dangerous ideas. And then last year, I did the Pondering Einstein, Expanding the Relative, which was a one-man piece by a local writer and actor, Eugene Markoff. And that kind of picked apart Einstein's philosophies and ideals and how they are still applicable today and where they could take our society. So I don't feel necessarily that there is a mold that I seek to fit into, but but we just kind of look around and say, well, what's an interesting thing to do, and how can we also, to the best of our abilities, also try to involve, the larger portion of the community. And sometimes that will be children's shows. Other times it will be some other bizarre thing. I myself have a strong love for the children's shows, and with Alice and same as we did with Wind in the Willows, the set's made out of like styrofoam and cardboard and all this sort of stuff. And because there's this thing that I kind of miss about, like when you're a kid, that the cardboard box is kind of like one of the coolest toys that you can play with, and your imagination just kind of springs to life.
The empty box thing. What can you do with it?
Your production design is reminiscent of the neighborhood kids putting up their little theater production in the front lawn with the bed sheets draped over the front of the garage, and everything just kind of the passion of putting it together with childlike energy.
I think that could be said, because like when we have the rabbit has minimal makeup on. It's not like the dude's running through the crowd with a giant fur suit or something. Some characters, it's as simple as a black smudge on the nose, and their hair is done up in a way that looks like mouse ears.
And then you get the Queen of Hearts.
Oh yeah, she's the Queen and King are both decked out.
Yes.
In much more elaborate sort of stuff, but the characters have this kind of naive simplicity about them that is, kind of practically just counters that, and it was an intention to take certain characters into a bigger place with those costumes and everything, but I never felt bound to do something that was like on par with like the CGI of today and stuff that we're going to be seeing out of major makeup sort of industries.
Well, something I didn't like. I'm going to go on record. I love Tim Burton. And I love.
What about Tim Burris? Do you love him?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
The better he's listening.
And I love Danny Elfman. I love because their comic book styles is very visually appealing. I'm a visual person. I don't know. But I didn't like the Alice in Wonderland, the Disney Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp, and I did not like it. There's elements of it that I liked. But now I would argue that Alice in Wonderland is something that now that it's got stapled Johnny Depp and Disney to it, now it's going to have like this kind of notion, this kind of preconceived notion. And so how do you break that down? I mean, how do you even reapproach what's been? Because that's the same problem with Sweeney Todd right now with Johnny Depp and that whole thing. Everybody wants to put a white streak in Sweeney Todd's hair.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that I had to do. The biggest thing I had to do was just not care and just do a story.
Yeah.
And I started reading through the book and realized how much I didn't know about Alice in Wonderland. Like how much I thought several of his other pieces, and primarily a lot of Looking Glass, was I thought that was Wonderland, and I had to start to push all of these other images out of my head. from, you know, because I think everybody expects a huge production out of Alice in Wonderland. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know, I think that in some cases, some people might expect me to have like everybody like descending from the ceilings, like Cirque du Soleil or something. But it's a Fringe show. I have to load in 15 minutes and load out. You know,
See, that's another thing that's the charm, I say, of the Fringe Festival, is that it has a kind of a...
I love it.
Yeah, it has like a tragedian-like approach. You must, you know, like put up a show and then dismantle and then reacclimate yourself to the show again, and in and out and in and out. Yeah, there's like a partnership that you must have with the other shows as well. It's just really...
Yeah, we're all caring for each other.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things, at least, you know, here, the Fringe Festival hasn't really branched out, you know, it's not like a, you know, Western region where people are coming in from San Francisco. It's basically, you know, the entire Vegas theater community that isn't involved with Super Summer right now, you know, coming together and celebrating. And obviously, you know, there's the pre-show Fringe Rum, as it's become known as, which
I avoid that like the plague.
Well, if you don't, you end up with some sort of plague-like symptoms from the shared bottles that go around. Although I swear I saw you there on Thursday.
I was. I showed up. I showed up because I made my cast rehearse.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
Think about that. You got to rehearse before the show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And, you know, but then also, you know, I do go there because, you know, TJ's barbecuing up food for everybody, and like everybody's like gathering, and the biggest reason why I can't go in there is I'm still prepping for the show on the directing and producing end. And also, you know, well, on top of that, as Eric also knows, I'm a school teacher.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful.
That's why I wasn't able to stay very long, because I had school in the morning too.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're just now tuning in, we're talking about schooling each other. No, I'm joking. We're talking about the Fringe Festival over at Las Vegas Little Theater. If you are interested in getting more information about what's playing at the Fringe Festival this year, or how you can obtain tickets, go to lvlt.org. We're talking with Tim Burse, who's the director of Endless Productions, Alice in Wonderland. Is it Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or is it Alice?
We labeled it Alice in Wonderland. However, when you enter the theater, there's a book in place in the center that does say Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, because they're both one and the same. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is the original titling, and it essentially over time was just shortened to Alice in Wonderland.
Pretty soon it'll just be in, or you know, it just take out everything else.
and then it'll finally be suitable to what most people think Fringe should be.
Right.
My production of Alice in Wonderland called In. Do you feel, Tim, that I mean, I know you said that you don't want to be the company that fills that niche. I'm hoping that you will establish a niche that people desire to fill, because I think that it's interesting that you know, you were talking about the fact that you had a great turnout of kids, and I know that at the beginning you didn't have a great turnout of kids for Wind in the Willows, and then as word spread, by the end of it you did. And so I think that's great that you brought a younger demographic and audience to the Fringe Festival, which I think is fantastic, because that's putting it on their radar at a young age, and it's going to continue on. So I know that, you know, I don't think that Endless should be saddled with the responsibility, but I'm hoping that it's becomes something that's expected of companies in the Fringe.
Or at least when it does. Oh, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Okay, I would say I would never back down from the possibilities of doing children's shows. There's so many that I want to tell and I want to share, because like, you know, because I teach and I teach K through 12.
Yeah.
I also work with Rainbow Company and all this stuff. That is my passion, and because of that, there's this statement from that movie, The Rise of the Guardians, where like Santa Claus is talking about how we should still be looking at things with a sense of wonder and this childlike innocence, and you know, the show just makes you happy.
Yeah.
And you know,
that's what theater should be all about.
Would you?
Yeah.
would you say
it doesn't have to
that
necessarily always? Oh, go ahead.
No, I know that you know, I mean, you and I have everyone who knows us knows that you and I have a huge history. You know, you've been my best friend for ever.
Ever.
And,
I will shake the pillow
Does Podge know that?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that you know, sorry, when I'm asking these questions, it's stuff that I kind of already know some of the answer to, but I think it's fun to still get to talk about it in real time. I know that you've always had a penchant for the fantastical, but I've noticed that your tastes have changed, and I'm just curious about this from your perspective. Do you feel that having kids has affected your decisions about what you want to put up at Fringe?
Totally, absolutely. Like, you know, my tastes changed abruptly back when we were younger, and Haley came into my life at 3. And then she got older, and all of my tastes kept like changing with that.
Huh.
You know, and eventually, when she was like a teenager and plus teaching like high school, you know, you're all about angsty stuff. and
Goosebumps
you want
books.
to challenge everybody.
Yeah.
But you can ask my students at the Meadows. Like it's a case where, like, you know, the beginning of this year, the first show I was directing was The Fantastics, and like I'm all about like drawing everybody back into that world, like how you mentioned earlier, of these like tragedians that like storm in and like, we're gonna do a play right now, check it out, and then like and there's this like magic to it that just gets you caught up, and you're just doing it to have fun. And like you said, the fantastical, it rekindles that fire in me every single time. That, like, you know, I still, when I'm at the store, if I go to Target, I still stop by the toy department to check out if there's like some new, like, you know, Marvel Comics characters out and
Action
stuff like
figures, that's right.
Yeah.
Kung Fu
Totally.
Grip.
And like, and so I never want to let go of that. And with my little ones, I feel this need to tell those really cool magical stories. Like when I was as a young boy, like anytime I deal with Peter Pan, which by the way, you guys at Faith, your Peter Pan was freaking awesome.
Thank you.
I just want to say that.
Quick plug. I'm going to say a quick plug here. If you're interested, we are doing 2 encore performances of it in June. Go to faiththeatercompany.com and those we're taking that show to Nebraska to the National Thespian Conference.
I'm stoked coming up. Yeah, I'm stoked coming up very soon.
Wait! I heard something there. Are you taking a group as well, Tim?
I'm chaperoning my crew. We're all going there to, like, you know, taking our individual pieces and all that sort of stuff.
Fantastic.
And we will be there. And if you need some help, just wave us down.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a great relationship between Faith and Meadows, which I think is fantastic.
Mutual respect.
Attendance in each other's audiences and things like that. It's great. But
I'll have an airplane chilling for you over the summer, by the way.
And by the way, congrats on your production of Drowsy Chaperone. Speaking of airplanes.
And I'm very excited. I'm very excited to get it back in over at Faith and touch up the fights for Peter Pan.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Awesome fights. And that's actually the point that I was about to make. Like when I was a little boy, the idea of like Peter Pan, like I didn't want to fight like, you know, just like a bunch of like pirates that fall over and pee themselves. I wanted like a little bit of danger in that, right?
Yeah.
And you guys captured that. Like there's that young boy like adventure that I want, you know. But one thing I discovered having little girls is that because like literally my day after I teach, I usually go and fight at one of the studios that I work with, and I'll do that for hours with, like, you know, either like sword fighting or like, you know, beating people on the ground, and then I promptly come home, sit down, and I watch a ballet or get my fingernails done. You know?
That's awesome.
And I would tell them some stories where it was all adventurous stuff, and I'd be like, this is the story of the Monkey King, and they're like, that's cool, Dad, but can you tell us about a pony that flies up to the sky? And I'm like, oh.
That one.
Okay. While I was learning about that.
Well, I was just going to say, somebody once told me that having children is like having a consummate theater critic in your audience everywhere you go at every moment.
And someone who knows your lines better than you do.
Yeah, so it's kind of like...
Dude.
You can imagine.
Yes. Yes. Well, I know, like, Friday night when we did the show, it was Erica Griffin's little boy was out in the house, and he is quite vocal.
You suck! You know, it's like...
Most of the time he was laughing, but there was this one point that one of the actors was on stage, and he just goes, "He's weird."
Awesome.
That's not nice to say about Mario.
It was glorious. Well, actually, no, it was in reference to Stacia Zinkovich.
Oh, okay. Oh, because she was all green.
Yeah, she was playing. It was when she was playing the Mock Turtle.
Yeah.
See, that's awesome, though. I love that. I used to. My first teaching job was second grade. I took over somebody who went on maternity leave, and I joke that there's really not terribly many differences between high school and second graders. They're smaller and stickier, but that's about it. But but more so, they don't have that social filter that tells them that society would shun you if you said this, or something like that. They walk up to you and they're like, "Mr. Ball, you have something green in your teeth," and then they smile at you and walk away. They're just being honest. You know, they don't really have a vested interest in your knowledge of knowing that. They don't have any sort of relationship with you that would gain or disallow favor. You know, or it's just, they are just honest. And talk about an honest audience is you have never performed until you have performed in front of an audience of children.
Unless you with Rainbow Company and have an audience full of unresponsive children,
Yeah.
which is just the opposite.
No, I'm talking about honesty,
Ironically, Tim was at the performance that I was talking about.
Oh, were you?
Where the kids, where we had the,
were they his students?
Yeah, no. And you know, it's funny though because I was going to say that when he was talking about that
or something.
One of the things that I thought was funny is when you guys were talking about that on the tour, we had, you know, awesome things that the kids would just randomly shout out. And one of my all-time favorite was one of the characters. His name was Old Pancake. And that was his nickname, and it really was. And the character, one of the kids that kept calling him Old Patty Cake was one of them, and then Old Flapjack was one that they shouted out. But the other day, we all laughed so hard. At one point, Old Pancake calls two of the other miners greenhorns. And the scene finishes, and it's a good, 45 seconds later.
Yeah.
And the scene finishes, and everyone walks off stage, and we're in the middle of a scene change, and just hear this little kid in the front row go, "Greenhorn!" And everyone cracked up backstage. You know?
It's awesome. It's just an unbridled truth there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something to be said about that. It's just amazing.
And something we all lose somewhere along the line, too.
Or we're told not to do anymore.
And that's what, like, my cast right now in the wings, when we have those kids and stuff and you hear the kids like children's laughter during the plays, that's when everybody looks like absolutely proud and like that we're doing the right thing, you know?
Right.
Laughter always ramps people up, but a child's like actual genuine laughter just gets this energy that's unbelievable. You know, because on Friday, the very first time doing Fringe, we're moving in, and it's like, run in now, set up shop, bring everybody in, let's go. And we started off with like some technical difficulties, and we were like, oh man. But then the children started laughing, and we started feeling a little better.
See, it makes everything better.
Yeah,
it really does.
Then the ball starts rolling, and we were just, you know, and it reminded us this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And
it's brilliant.
Because
that's awesome.
And that it works both for us and against us, the young ones and their critical eye, because they will yell stuff at us.
It's like being at a Gallagher concert. You know, you may get watermelon on you. It may get thrown back at you.
It's like the groundlings in Shakespeare's days.
They literally dance
relentless.
in the theater, like in the background out there. They're just like all of a sudden they're just standing on chairs, and it's kind of weird. But but the one thing also is they don't have a desire for this deeper meaning or other sort of seriousness. They don't take any of us too seriously. So there's
something good about that.
What's that?
I said there's something gold and good about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not being taken too seriously, because it is theater.
They can look. Oh man, on Friday night, one of my trees just exploded. It was like this styrofoam tree and just cracks in half. And of course, I'm just like, oh, that sucks.
My tree exploded.
It was horrible. But at the same time, like the kids were like, tree fell. Awesome! Look at his ears. And just move on.
That is awesome.
And
I love it.
It's just such a magical place for it, and having that feeling that this all-inclusive theatrical experience that is bringing the theater community itself together, playing a part in bringing together the entire theater-going community, also is kind of fulfilling. And it, making sure that the families get to stop in, that, there's a few shows that the kids can stop by and see.
That's wild, brother.
So, if you've got kids and you're going to take them to see something, take your kids to see Moyle by The Rock. But if you can't get into Moyle...
Go see Sudoku.
Go see Sudoku.
Well put. We're gonna listen. We do need to take a break, and then let's come back with Sean Critchfield is going to say something brilliant when we come back.
I have 3 questions for Tim when we come back.
We have 3 questions for Tim Burrs. Stay tuned to Curtain Call. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hold tight.
Okay.
Hey there, this is Kate Weatherhead from the Web Series Submissions Only, and this is Curtain Call with Eric Hall.
Make it a quick break. I'm sorry, I have to go. One more before.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I had to take a break. We're running out of time.
It's a good show when it's cooking like this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm so out of it, guys.
You're not out of it. You're just tired. You had a big, long day and you're on meds.
That's why there's 3 of us.
I feel like it's fun because you guys are doing the banter and I'm like... Purposeful question. Not that you guys aren't, but that's like, I'm just like, that's what I've got to contribute. I'm like, okay, we've been bantering for a while. Tell me this.
How did you get into theater?
Explain the existential differences between Dostoevsky and Boris Pasternak. Really Dostoevsky or... Actually, I would love to do a series of short Russian plays. I have one that's on my list. If I ever direct, I've got everything. I just love the bizarreness of some of the Russian authors. It's the symbolism that's in Russian things. That's why I asked if it was Gogol's The Nose. Because it's one of those weird stories where the nose itself was severed from the face and is its own character.
It's been an interesting night for noses because the play that I wrote, the first one they did was called Ptolemy How to Sew My Nose. I'll tell you about it afterwards. If you want to, I'll send it to you. It's a 1-act.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, I was floored.
That was the very first year.
I was floored by that play that we were talking about earlier. I was reading it and I was going, this is great because it surprises you with humor. You know what I mean? It's like you're going, oh, did I just laugh at that? Am I supposed to laugh at that? It's
isn't it gorgeous?
Is it that uncomfortable feeling where you either laugh or cry at it? And
there's moments of that, and it's also like they're incredibly irreverent, like in the ways, because basically they realize that you can't cure the plague, so they start ministering to their souls with humor, and they just get incredibly irreverent, and it winds up backfiring on them, and they wind up on trial, and it's just like Debbie Does Dallas. And if anyone's listening, you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah, erase that part.
I'll edit that out. Sorry.
It was just my concern.
Haha, I edited that out. What name would you like to go in its place?
Debbie does Dallas.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll just edit that.
That's awesome.
Hey there, this is Kate Weatherhead from the Web Series Submissions Only, and this is...
With 10 minutes, this is usually when we get to
Kate Weatherhead. Welcome back to Curtain Call. Real quick before we continue talking with Tim Burris, who's the director of Alice in Wonderland, Endless Productions offering at the Las Vegas Fringe Festival over at Las Vegas Little Theater. If you're interested in tickets or more information for the Fringe Festival, go to lvlt.org. But I want to remind everyone also that auditions for Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, which is a collaborative production between Table 8 Productions and Onyx Theater, it's happening a week from this Saturday. Information for that can be found on Facebook. Just type in Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson auditions and usually it'll pop up. Or you can type in Troy Hurd, H-E-A-R-D. He's the director of that, and there's information about the show on his page as well. But back to the matter at hand, Tim Burris. And
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but Tim Burris is kind of a local celebrity. And Cirque du Soleil, their next tribute show is actually going to be a Tim Burris tribute show.
Yeah, it will be.
So,
And it's just called, you know how like they shorten things. It's called Timber.
I thought it was called the whole 9 yards.
No, it's Timber because they can't do Tim Burris because it's just too long. It's like V. It's like O.
and the
it's
whole
like
thing is like
Timber.
the pillars of the earth is represented as trees tumbling at the feet of Tim Burris. So all of that's great. I love talking about your theories on theater and Fringe, but I wanted to really just get to the heart of the matter, and I wanted to ask you 3 questions. First question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
That's a very important question.
How do you not know this already?
Superpower. Let's see here.
Say it. I hope you're going to say the one that I hope you're going to say, because then you'll be in part of the club.
Mental telepathy.
Say it. Say
Well,
it.
see, I might have to go with healing factor because of all the creative stuff that I like to do.
Okay, healing factor.
Actually,
I like
healing.
that. I like that. Okay,
That's
second
a very
question.
generous power.
Second question. DC Universe only. Whose power do you want?
Oh, DC.
Powers?
Yeah, whose powers do you want? DC Universe only.
Deathstroke.
That's fair. That's a good
Deathstroke.
answer.
Man utilizes 90% of his brain, and he has no ultimate superpowers right off the bat. But he's taken out how many superheroes? Deathstroke.
That's awesome.
So you want to heal and kill.
That's right.
Interesting.
Heal and destroy.
Well, that's what I do.
That is who I am.
And lastly, Marvel Universe only.
Okay.
Same question?
Mm-hmm.
Same question, Marvel Universe. Okay.
Same question?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Okay, this is tough here. Let's see here. Same question. Whose superpowers?
Say Nightcrawler. Say Nightcrawler.
Gambit, you want to throw cards that go kaboom.
No.
I love it.
So,
No.
Ooh, see? Give me a second. See, this is tough stuff, man.
Juggernaut.
All right, I'm going to give you a second to think about it. You mull that over, and I'm going to ask Eric one. You ready, Eric?
I'm ready.
You can have a working lightsaber, or you can have Spider-Man web shooters. You want a working lightsaber or Spider-Man web shooters?
You know something?
Man, I'm stumping the room
I
right
like-
now.
I'm gonna
I
say-
guarantee you, producer
you know
Chris is in
something?
there like, come on, this is easy.
I would
You know something?
lightsaber in a heartbeat.
But here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. My inkling is to go with lightsaber. Okay. Because I don't have a fear of heights. I have a fear of falling to my death from them. So my initial knee-jerk reaction is to stay away from the opportunity to put myself in that position.
You saw what happened on Broadway.
However, it does more than just that. And I would probably be more apt and willing to learn.
Is it like fun tack so you
that-
can like squirt stuff on the back of posters and...
Well, and I'd be more apt to learn that skill and perfect that with that advantage rather than the sword fighting prowess that I would need with a lightsaber in itself is just a lightsaber. You have to be able to manage one.
But to manage when you become a Jedi.
I don't know.
That's true.
I'm going to say Spider-Man.
I'm gonna go to Glenn, and then we're gonna come back. And we're gonna find out what.
That's
Tim's
actually a really good
answer
question.
was.
I'm gonna ponder this today.
Yeah, people can respond on Facebook if you want to let us know. We'll let people know what the polls are. And Glenn, yours is a two-part question.
Okay.
Are you gonna go dark and sinister costuming like Batman, or traditional, like primaries Superman style? If you get to choose your costume scheme, that's part one. And part two is, are you gonna lone wolf it, or are you gonna get a sidekick? If your sidekick is awesome, you're not gonna get a lame sidekick.
I definitely would go with the dark, sinister. I always like the non-traditional heroes that, like Batman, Green Arrow, the ones that have a skill that they're not.
You like
superhuman.
Aquaman, don't you? Be honest.
No, that are superhumans as opposed to having superhuman powers. So I like all the characters. Batman's, yes, but Green Arrow was always one that I liked as a kid growing up.
Okay.
So I would definitely go with the dark and sinister, definitely would have a sidekick, only because I don't want to become crazy. I'd want to have somebody to talk to.
Okay.
Can I tell you a funny story, Tim? Actually, do you have an answer? Because I want to hear Tim's.
I totally have an answer, and I can't believe it didn't pop into my head right away.
Fire away.
Yeah, I was thrown because DC got top 10 at first. And I'm surprised I didn't list this as my superpower either. Taskmaster.
Of course.
He's
I knew that. Taskmaster.
I can't believe I didn't answer that. Taskmaster has photographic reflexes. The man can watch a gymnast do something and then repeat it.
So
I would have been good at our dance.
The ultimate muscle memory. Where were you during dance call?
So he can't throw Cap's shield with the strength that Cap does, because he can't mimic the strength, but he can throw it with the same skill and accuracy.
Accuracy is what it is.
It just takes a lot longer to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a woefully pathetic yet equally cool, and it speaks to the whole use your imagination, childlike wonder that we were talking about earlier with Tim and Alice in Wonderland. I remember being on the playground of Tecumseh Acres, Michigan Elementary School during recess, and my friends and I, we used to be superheroes. We used to go around and play superheroes. I mean, there was no point to the game. We just played superheroes. And I remember I wanted to be Green Lantern. Okay, Green Lantern was mine. I don't know, I had an affinity for Green Lantern for a while. It was because I liked the color green. And I remember going to this, it was the fall festival. It was like a flea market. It was like they had games and stuff. And I remember buying from a vendor a ring. And I mean, I'm a kid. I'm a little kid. It was way big for me. I remember wrapping dental floss around it so it would fit my hand. And in this ring. And I was so freaking proud of this ring because I was Green freaking Lantern when I had this ring on.
Did you have a little gas lamp as well?
No, but that ring left green marks around my finger because it was this cheap piece of metal, and I remember when it first came off, it was kind of brown or black or whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. And I remember the second time it came, it was turning kind of green. And I, for some reason, as a kid, thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That you were actually becoming...
That I was becoming Green Lantern. It was the coolest thing ever. To this day, there's not much that I remember
To this
vividly.
day, you still think you are.
I still think I'm Green Lantern. There's not much that I vividly remember. I just remember just being so, happy about that. Mm-hmm. And there's something very innocent, naive, stupid, but wonderful about that. And it's the same. Yeah. Go ahead.
In my senior year of high school, I got hospitalized because of some random my lung collapsed for no reason whatsoever. And even though that was happening, and even though I was older, I was like, dude, maybe my latent mutant genes are starting to show up, and I can breathe fire by the end of this week.
That's awesome.
Something like that.
That'd be awesome.
And it still popped up in my head.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we are running out of time. I wish we could continue to talk, and I hope to have you on the show again here real soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to encourage everyone to visit lvlt.org. Get your tickets now to the Vegas Fringe Festival. It happens every year, and this year is sampling the different offerings that are happening over there. It's just a wonderful spectrum of different talent and shows. And Alice in Wonderland, Endless Productions offering, directed by Tim Burris. That is definitely one, if you're a theater patron of any age, that you're going to not want to miss. And it's happening this weekend and the following weekend. LVLT.org. Tim, pleasure speaking with you. Always
good to hear from you, sir.
Great to talk to you. And we're going to have to sign off. Go to Facebook.
Big thank you to Tim. Big thank you to Troy and Katie.
Katie and Troy and Gracie. Thank you,
Gracie. Big thank you to Eric and Glenn.
Thank you to Chris Scott, our producer.
Chris Scott, when you get in here, I want to hear your answers to the questions.
That's right.
So
also special thanks to Brett Grant and KSHB for having us on the show. Tune in throughout the course of the week to the Radio Shopping Show. They are now putting all of their episodes of the auction show on the Vegas Video Network. They're videotaping that as well, so it's actually kind of great. You can see it on both Facebook and live on the air. But catch us every week. We're here Sundays from 10 to midnight. It's Curtain Call, and if you guys have a production coming up, you want to be featured on the show, find us on Facebook and let us know about it. But thanks, Tim, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Yeah, all right. Bye.
it's like tradition now to derail in the final 10 minutes. I can respect that. I would darken sinister as well.
You know something?
I think I'd lone wolf it.
You want to know what I think? I was just sitting here listening and thinking about all the different characters. I remember collecting the Marvel cards when they came out. I think I want to start collecting them again. You know, vintagey.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember playing the Marvel and DC role-playing games.
Yeah, I did. I had a post back in the MySpace days, and it was easily my most popular post. I was going through my boxes in the garage, and I found my books.
Oh, wow.
And I found some 10-sided dice, and I said anyone that commented on MySpace, I would roll up their powers off of the charts and give them a name, and I had probably 100 responses.
That's fun.
So, Chris.
Well, Batman, Iron Man, rich guy with gadgets. That's my
rich guy with gadgets. Love it. That's very, very fair.
That's fair. Would you take the web shooter, or would you take the
lightsaber?
See, I don't know what I would do with it though. It'd be wild, but
I told you that he was in there like, come on, Eric, that's an easy one.
I'd probably cut my arm off in the first week though. I don't know.
It'd be cauterized at least.
It'd be what?
Right. Yeah.
Cauterized.
Right.
That's a good
Don't
point.
worry about the medical bill or anything.
Alright guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm tired.
Glenn, will you hate me if I take off? Because I'm exhausted and I have school. Do you mind?
Blah, blah, blah.
I mean,
Good to see you, buddy.
Good night, man.
Thanks, Chris.
Feel better.
Good night, Chris.
And congratulations again.
You too, sir.
I'm very excited to be working with you guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.